Good day. This is it. The bench is finally done. I had to take a break because of 2 Cat 5 hurricanes, and then I put up all this slat wall. I built a closet. I fixed the roof on the house and all kinds of stuff. I've been using the bench for a year and a half without all the vices, and I've just been clamping stuff to it. I finally got around to building all the vices. And the reason for this video is because when I was trying to decide how am I going to build a bench, what type of bench, you know, I did what probably all of you have done. I looked all over the internet, I looked at pictures, I looked at videos. So I wanted to do a video for people to just get ideas from. And I have a saying that knowledge not shared is lost. So I just want to share what I've done. And if you got 100 people and you told them each to design the perfect workbench, you would have 100 different workbenches. And all of them would be good workbenches. So the idea of this video is just to show ideas for people to use. Now, where do I begin? It's basically the Benchcrafted plan modified. Now, instead of the Wagon Vise, I used this Lie-Nielsen Twin Screw Vise. I love this vise. It does not rack. It's smooth, it's solid. It was a pain to build this chop. And if you're gonna do this and you're gonna build your own chop, mark my words, you need a very good drill press. It is extremely hard because you have multiple stepped holes. They all have to be perfectly straight, perfectly aligned. Now I did something different. I didn't like the way this nut stuck all the way out, so I actually recessed it the depth of one of the 2 jam nuts, which meant that I had to recess this handle as well. But I love it because now this is a little more in and doesn't stick out, and it looks better. I want to show you just how smooth this vise is. Just one finger I can open it. And so I've got dog holes down each side of the bench. Because there's a sliding deadman over here and there's a recess, these dog holes had to be inset. And I thought about, do I want to do this? But I wanted to put these dog holes closer to the edge because I wanted to be able to work a decorative molding or something that you want to be able to run the plane right on the edge, maybe with a skate. So actually these dog holes are closer to the edge than these are, and I was worried how that might look to be off balance. I was worried how that might work with the vise. It worked absolutely fine. I used the Veritas, they call them prairie dogs, that just pop up here. I used them over the legs. I had 2 holes that landed on the legs. So I put the prairie dogs there. The other bench dogs are just the removable type. So I just want to show you that I'm going to clamp this down tight. Now watch this vise. It does not rack. It's straight. It's tight. This thing is in. I'm bending the board. That is in there. This is amazing. Now there's another thing about this bench that is unique. That I wanted to explain why I did it the way I did it. Now I buy big long pieces of rough sawn mahogany. Sometimes they're 14 feet long. I wanted to be able to plane or joint as long of a board as I possibly could. Also, my house has 9-foot tall doors, and I'm going to build some doors. So my goal was I needed to be able to clamp at least 9 feet. So this vise will open a little over a foot, I think. This is a Pattern Maker Vise opposing that vise, and it will open 14 inches. And so with both vices all the way open, and this vise has dogs that pop up, I can clamp a 9-foot long board on a 7-foot long bench. I'm so happy that I did it that way. I have no regrets. And I want to show another thing. Now, Benchcrafted uses a Wagon Vise. And you know, everyone always on this breadboard, they always do that fancy dovetail work. And I wanted to explain why I didn't do that. Because the Benchcrafted design for a Wagon Vise puts a force this way against this board. So that dovetail locks it so it doesn't move this way. This vise is putting the force that way. It would actually work against the dovetail. So I thought, and I pondered on how I'm going to do it. In the end, I just recessed some bolts, and it is bolted on. That allows for wood movement. It also allows me to remove this whole thing, take both slabs off if I ever want to, and move the bench easily. So I'm very happy. I'm going to put leather on these jaws the same way I did on that Pattern Maker Vise, which we're going to see in a minute. I had to order some wider leather. It hadn't come in yet. And I love this. I'm going to do a separate video about this vise because there are some things that I want to explain for anyone making this vise. And Amy, if you want to come around this way, I guess we'll show this and work this way around the bench. So I have the sliding Deadman, and I have the Benchcrafted leg vise, which I absolutely love. I love the metal handle that they have, you know, the wheel or the handle. I really like the handle. The handle drops down, the handle locks in the middle. I wanted to show this, and I hope the lighting is going to allow it. So on this sliding rail here, what I decided to do, instead of having just a pointed piece, I made a molding using a bit sold at Lee Valley, and I apologize, I don't have the number for the bit, but this bit will make a molding, and it will also make a negative matching piece. So I made the molding, and with the same bit I made this negative piece so that this slides on a decorative molding. It's rounded on the top so that it's more durable than a pointed piece, and it doesn't have flat spots, so dust comes right off of it. This thing slides beautifully, but it's solid. It doesn't move this way, but it slides fine this way. I have the short shaft on one of the Veritas clamp type of thingies, and so that works really well. This allows me to clamp a board as long as this whole workshop. And if you'll work this way, I'll show. Now I made one of the extensions longer than the other. And there's a reason for that I'm going to show in a minute. But I want to show when I mounted the Pattern Maker Vise, I made it to where it was set in about 1/2 inch from this edge so that a board would not hit it. So I can have a board sticking out this way. But it sticks out a little on this side, which is what I wanted. So I can work a piece from all angles. I can come around this way, I can stand all the way back and be chiseling. The Pattern Maker Vise, you release a lever and it will rotate, and you have a nice carving vise. It also has bench dogs built in that very simply pop up and down. You can pop these up and clamp a curved piece in there. You can angle the jaws, and I want to oh, yeah, this is the coolest thing. It flips up. I mean, it's the most versatile vise I think ever. I added this leather. This is a 9-ounce Vegetan leather, and I glued it on just with contact cement. Watch this, good. Watch this. Look how smooth that is. And it will open 14 inches. It has very little play. They're just a tiny bit, but once you clamp, it doesn't. And it has where you can add your own jaws. So if you wanted to clamp a round piece, you can make a jaw with a concave on either side, bolt it in, and you could clamp any special piece you wanted. It also has this, which fits in a square hole here, and it will rotate further for when you want to clamp something more than this angle. This will do a better angle. So the most versatile vise ever. And if you'll work your way around here, and I have a light shining on this so hopefully people can see it. and come around this way. And now this lever is supposed to mount flat. The problem is my bench top is 5 inches thick. And what it did was, the further down you move this lever, the more angle you get on this. It was too much angle and it was binding. So what I did, I made a wedge and I chiseled a wedge in here, mounted this at an angle so I could keep that smooth motion of this lever. And that's why this is mounted at an angle. If your bench top is 4 inches or less, you would not have to do this. Now here's something I came up with that I think people might like. I'm going to move in front of the camera for a second. Now you know Benchcrafted has this piece that's removable. And with Benchcrafted's plan, you flip it over and it sits up higher so you have a planing stop. Well, what I did was I took an adjustable foot. McMaster Carr sells them. So this is a leveling foot on that is a 3/4 inch threaded foot. I took a pillow block and I epoxied a long nut that's threaded to match. I put one of these handles on it. Now watch this. When I turn this, this lifts up and I can raise this up and make a planing stop as high or as low as I want it. So if you're building a guitar, for example, and you have a very thin guitar top, you can have a very thin planing stop, and boom. So you can adjust it whatever height you want, or you can let it back down level with the bench. Also, you will see that I have put TTrack here. So this little recessed area, you could build a tool tray. You could build a sewing machine mount that puts the sewing machine at the level of the bench. You could, you know, add a drill press or whatever. So it's very versatile. But also, I build wood surfboards, and you have to mount station molds at certain intervals to build a wood surfboard. So what I did was, that T-track runs all the way down the center here. So when you remove this piece, and I drilled a little hole there to make it easy to grab. I also have these here, but of course it never works right when you're filming, right? So I take this out, and I've got T-tracks, so I can mount my surfboard forms on little L-shaped brackets, screw them in, and boom, they'll be solid, they'll stay. When I'm done building the surfboard, I unbolt them, boom, bench goes back. Also, with the track saw, you put your piece of plywood here, you run your track saw down here, and this is open for your kerf. So it makes a very versatile bench. I made this originally with the slots to put your chisels and saws in. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do two things. I can flip it this way and I can have a little bitty bin to put tools in, or I can flip it the other way, have it flat with the slots, and these come out to open up for those slots, and it just drops it and bam, there it is. And now while I'm here, I want to show this and give a shout out to Raven Tools. I think his name's Dan Raven. He takes like a year, so you have to be patient. And he hand forges these Roubo holdfasts, and I think it's just really beautiful. I thought people might ask about that. Of course, then the other is the Veritas. So these are the things that I came up with that I wanted to just share the ideas. For anyone that might be thinking about building a bench, the idea of this video was just to show everybody ideas. And you know, if you say that's not for me, well, cool. You know, still I did some good because I helped you decide what you didn't want. Or you may see something here that you like. Again, this vise on the end, I love it. I love having a end vise like this, but it is very difficult to do. The Lie-Nielsen Vise, it has to be perfectly set up. And it was very hard to do the channels for these screws to go in and get everything aligned. But boy, was it ever worth the effort. And it's just a wonderful vise. I love the bench. I'm going to do some separate videos to show more details about the vises. I'm going to do a video to show the finish that I use, which is basically a wood, linseed oil, and wax, and some videos just to kind of highlight some of the things that I didn't have time to hit on this. And that's it. Thanks for watching.